Yes, we've had the announcement that there's going to be three new special classes in the county. So they'll be at St.Flannan's, Scariff Community College, and Ennis National School. So this is fantastic. And I've been a teacher myself a long time, but I can remember when, way back when I was in school myself, if children had additional needs or autism, very often their needs couldn't be met in their local school and they had to go to special schools. And special schools are fantastic, but there's also a limit to how many places those schools have. The other thing was, I think, when children with special needs were educated in special schools, uh, to some extent, it cut them off from growing up with kids in the locality, perhaps missing out on things like birthday parties, etc. So the model in recent years, insofar as possible, has been to provide for children and teenagers in their local school alongside their siblings, their peers, etc. Obviously, it has to be catered around their needs. If the school can meet their needs, they can, and they provide one of these classes. So we've had three of these announced today. I hope there'll be a few more announced in the coming weeks. But this is a really good news day in terms of inclusive education in the county.
And I suppose just what are some of those services that will be provided through these classrooms?
So you'd have six children, two adults, so one will be a teacher, the other an SNA. Very spacious and very often adjacent to the actual classroom. You'd have ancillary rooms, such as maybe a sensory room. There's usually an outside play area that's secure, it's confined, it's stimulating. Some schools have also developed sensory gardens where the five senses are stimulated through plants and lighting and different things. So it should be an environment that, I suppose, first of all, um, it a learning environment, but it also needs to be calming, stimulate the senses. It's a place where someone can relax, and children with autism and teenagers with autism, they can very often, agitation can be a thing, or they can be sensory overload. So these classrooms are specifically designed to be calming, learning environments, and they're fabulous. I was only in one there again last Friday, visiting in another school in the county. What schools are doing is incredible in terms of inclusion. They should be congratulated, and this announcement will allow three further schools to expand what they're offering to additional needs. And I do believe, having had discussions with Minister Moynihan, we'll have further announcements in the next few weeks again.
Yeah, you touched on it there, optimistic that there'll be a couple more announced by the end of the year for schools in Clare, but I suppose that, as you touched on as well, it gives a peace of mind to the parents, I suppose, that their educational needs are being covered, but also that those social needs as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's the social need, I would say, is far greater. And I say that as a teacher and as a parent. I think if you know, learning is important. It's not the be all and end all. I think if a child is happy, most parents would say above and beyond, that's what's important in life. And I think in these new special classrooms, what you see is an environment that's very education, but it's calming. And what's lovely is, I think what really makes it, it's not just a report card that's saying your son or daughter is excelling at maths or Irish. What's even more fabulous is when a little note comes home on a Friday that they're invited to a birthday party, that they feel included, they're part of that school community. I think that wins every day of the week. And I think that's what we're going to see more of here. I've been out to visit many schools as chairman of the Oireachtas Education Committee. I'm constantly crisscrossing the county meeting schools. And there's a few more special classes I've met with Minister Moynihan on to lobby him on. So hopefully we'll have good news on that front. One point I would have made, particularly at the primary level, is that normally these classes can cater for 6 children, and that's just the way they're designed. That's in best practice. But very often what we're seeing is children are getting enrolled in these classes and they're having to crisscross the county. So a child in West Clare may be enrolled in a special class closer to Ennis, whereas the child in Ennis, because of availability of place in real time, could be offered a place back in West Clare. So the more local we can have these enrolments, the better. That speaks to the whole inclusive bit I was on about, that they're growing up with their peers, local children, they're invited to birthday parties. I think that's where the real strength of this lies.